Hi everyone, happy spring. As you can see behind me, it is finally starting to turn a little bit green. But today I want to talk to you guys about weight loss. And there's so many different topics around weight loss, but specifically today, I want to talk about why you plateau. So I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but some of us, will go on to a diet or a workout program. And then after a couple of weeks of seeing some results, we start to plateau. And typically between like 4 to 5 weeks, maybe we'll start losing a couple of pounds every single week. And then suddenly it just doesn't seem like what we were doing was working anymore. So first and foremost, we want to talk about the difference between weight loss, which is the number on the scale, and fat loss. So weight loss is really your entire weight. So how much your body, the entirety of your body weighs. Fat loss, however, is really the percentage of fat that is on your body that is being lost. So that's like the flub around your belly around your belly, around your hips, the bat wings, around the face, whatever. But it's really the fat that is being burned off. Now, in an ideal scenario, you want to be decreasing your fat percentage while increasing your muscle mass. Now, this causes a little bit of a tricky situation because for the same mass, your muscles appear less. So you might be losing fat and then gaining muscle at the same time while not seeing the difference on the actual scale itself. However, you are getting towards a better and healthier body. So we want to really combine those two where you're increasing your muscle mass and decreasing your fat percentage to have a strong and lean body. We want to avoid just simply losing fat, but also not building any muscle, because then you end up in what we call, I don't really like the term, but fat skinny, where you're very, very lean and you're very, very skinny, but you have no strength. And that's not what we're aiming for either. So there's a couple of things that can impact the number on your scale. And this is why relying solely on the number on the scale is really unreliable. There's 4 things. 1 is water retention or water loss. When we first start eating healthier or when we first start working out more, you'll see a change in the water retention in your body. Therefore, it could be misconstrued as weight loss or fat loss, but actually it's just you're not retaining as much water as before. Number 2 is your sleep. If you're not sleeping well, you have increased cortisol in your body, you have inflammation in your body, which is point number 3, and therefore you won't be burning as much fat, or you'll be retaining a lot more energy in your body and you'll store more fat. So sleep is really important. Number 3 is, as I said, inflammation, which ties in a little bit to stress. Inflammation can cause you to hold on to weight in your body. It can actually make you hold and store more fat and burn less energy appropriately. So inflammation is definitely a big one. And the last but not least is really more for my female friends. But as a woman, typically around your luteal phase, you're going to see an increase of weight, anything between 2 to 5 pounds. And I have a whole video about that in terms of number 1 reason why you're experiencing weight swings. But that's a really important factor to take into consideration. All 4 of these things, and there's plenty more, but these 4 are examples of why the number on the scale is extremely unreliable when it comes to getting healthier and getting to your ideal body fat muscle proportion. So there's a couple of reasons why after a couple of weeks of doing really great workouts, seeing progress, that suddenly we plateau. I'm going to really touch on 2 reasons. The first one is the brain doesn't like change. As silly as it sounds, and as much as we like to convince ourselves that we are okay with change, our brain resists it a lot. It actually works super hard to maintain the status quo. And so, after 1 week, 2 weeks, your adrenaline's still kicking in, you're still motivated. But after 4 or 5 weeks, your brain starts to go oh shit, is this the new permanent status quo? I need to try to hold on to what I know. And so we tend to start loosening our discipline. Instead of taking a walk after every meal, we go, I'll just skip it. I'll go tomorrow or do it tomorrow morning. Or instead of working out every single morning, you go, it's okay, I'll just do it later in the afternoon. Or I'll just have that 1 slice of cake. And so this is why it's really important to not follow crash diets or just like a strict routine that you think is going to revolutionize and change your body 180. Instead, you really need consistent and sustainable lifestyle habits that will help you maintain this in the long run. And the second reason why we might not be seeing a difference is that you have what is called a metabolic adaptation in your body. So your body is extremely skilled. It's like an expert at recalibrating how much energy it burns relative to how much energy you are consuming. So if you are on a crash diet, if you are doing a calorie counting program, it doesn't work because let's say you start at 2,000 calories, your body is going to say, oh, okay, I get 2,000, I'm going to burn 2,000. You first go down to 1,000, maybe not 1,000, but like 1,500 calories, a 500 calorie deficit. Your body goes, oh shit, I'm still burning 2,000. But if you keep maintaining the 1,500, eventually your body's going to go, oh, I only get 1,500. Let me recalibrate how much energy I burn, and I only need 1,500. This is why oftentimes when you do a calorie deficit diet, in the long run, it doesn't work. And this is also part of the reason why intermittent fasting works for some people, because you're not training your body to get used to the new calorie deficit. And so this is where, if you change up your workout routines or if you change up your diet and the way you're eating, it can be beneficial for some people. All right, so this is all great, sort of. But then how do you actually tell that you are losing fat versus just weight? Because it could be water weight, it could be that you are losing muscle mass as well if you're only just going through a calorie deficit and not training with like muscle training or resistance training. So a couple of ways that you can tell is, first and foremost, you need to understand that 1 pound of muscle and 1 pound of fat doesn't have the same volume. So if you lose 1 pound of fat, but you gain 1 pound of muscle, you will look leaner, even though the number on the scale is exactly the same. Number 2 is your clothes fit better. That pair of jeans that you struggled to get in just, cinches around the waistline a little bit better. It seems really silly, but when your clothes fit better, but your number on the scale is the same, typically it means that you've lost some fat and that you've gained muscle. The third one is you're feeling stronger in your workouts. So you feel like you can push a little bit harder. You feel like you can lift that heavier weight. The only caveat here is during that time of the month. So the couple of days right before your menstruation starts, you might feel a little dip of fatigue, but keep in mind that that is completely normal. It is part of your natural rhythm and your cycle. During that time of the month, make sure to rest and reset. However, normally you will see an improvement in your performance. So these 3 things is really telltale signs of the fact that you are losing fat and also gaining muscle. All right, so here are a couple of 5 things that really helps you maintain that fat loss progress instead of just looking at the number on the scale. So the first one is find out what is the ideal calorie that you should be eating and consuming based on what you want to be at. So if you want to be 145 pounds or 120 pounds, assuming that that is the healthy weight for you, what is the ideal calorie that you should be eating? Understanding that will help you avoid the metabolic adaptation that I talked about earlier, so that you don't train your body to live on a too low of a calorie. I've seen people where they go into like a calorie deficit of 1,000 calories a day, and then when they try to bump that back up to like 16 or 18 or 2,000 calories, which is more normal, they suddenly gain a ton of weight because their body's like, oh shit, there's now like extra 500 or extra 1,000 calories that I don't need to burn. Let me store that. And then they kind of end up where they started. So understanding how much calorie is appropriate for your body is super important. Number 2, focus on a weight range that you want to target. This is much more realistic than saying that you want to be exactly 145 pounds. And part of this is because, as I said earlier, and also in one of my previous videos about weight swings, your body weight fluctuates not only throughout the day, but also throughout the month if you are a woman. So targeting a weight range is much more realistic and will keep you motivated much longer than if you were just trying to target a single number on the scale, because that is super unrealistic. Number 3, is focusing your diet around whole foods of fiber and protein. I'm not a big advocate about counting your macros or doing low carb or any kind of diets, but it's really important to get enough protein throughout your meals and enough fiber as a combination, because the proportion of the two is really important for a healthy digestive system. If you focus on protein and fiber, the rest kind of take care of itself. Then the next one is focusing on building muscle to raise your basal metabolic rate, which is your resting metabolic rate, which is how much calories you're burning at a rested state, and building lean muscles instead of trying to just burn fat. The fact that you are increasing your muscle mass will help increase your BMR, which by default means that you will burn more calories in a rested state than if you were, exercising extra or whatever. Then the last tip is change your routine up every now and then. Keep your body on its toes a little bit. Changing up your routine can challenge your body in ways that it did not know before. And this can just kind of interrupt some of those automated signals that already exist, so that your body can constantly recalibrate itself and not get used to anything too quickly or for too long. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you are interested in anything that is weight management, nutrition, or stress relief related, please check back every single Friday. I post a new video at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.